We are currently experiencing a cost of living crisis as prices are rising everywhere around the world. And this is affecting pretty much every area of life, including fuel, energy and food. As of the 27th of July, even McDonald's in the UK has had to raise the price of their 99p cheeseburger for the first time in 14 years, up to £1.19. What the hell is going on? As of July 2022, inflation in the UK is currently at 9.4% and in the US is at 9.1%. These are some of the worst figures seen in decades, and it's set to get even worse before the end of the year, where in the UK the Bank of England predicts we will reach over 11% inflation, which is up from a prior estimate of 10.25%. Unfortunately, most people's wages haven't risen to match inflation, so many people are now technically poorer as a result. But it's not just inflation causing the problems, because the central banks are raising interest rates to combat inflation, which makes it more expensive to pay back loans, mortgages, and also borrow money. So it's no surprise people are looking for ways to save money. So in this video, I'm going to share some suggestions on what you can do to help with the cost of living crisis and hopefully save some money and help yourself financially. If it's your first time watching my channel, then my name's Ollie, and on this channel we discuss all things related to personal finance and investing, so please don't forget to subscribe, and if you get any value from this video, then I'd really appreciate an early thumbs up, as it helps the channel massively to reach more people. Now, before we get stuck in, I must be clear that I am not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is intended to be financial advice. And if you want financial advice, you should seek a licensed professional. At the end of the day, I am just a guy on YouTube, so you should always do your own research, because this video is just for entertainment purposes only, and past performance is not indicative of any future results. So now that's out of the way, let's get stuck into the video. Now, if you're really struggling, then I would really urge you to speak to your friends and family, as they may be able to help you out. There are also organisations in the UK that may be able to help, such as Citizens Advice, and they may be able to help you find out if there are any benefits or money you can receive to help you cope. In addition to this, there are other organisations such as the National Debt Line and Step Change who may be able to help, so I'll put the link to them in the description below. Obviously, I can't talk about organisations and charities for the entire world, but if you are struggling, then I recommend having a Google, as you never know, there may be something in your location. If you're in the UK, then you are most likely aware there is going to be an increase in the energy price cap in October, which basically means there's going to be an increase in the maximum amount that energy suppliers are allowed to charge you for your gas and electricity. And this was already increased by 54% in April 2022, and it's expected to rise by a crazy 65% again in October. The typical energy bill at the moment is about £2,000 per year since the last price cap increase in April 2022. If you add 65% to this, then it would put the price cap at £3,300. The reason this is increasing is due to the wholesale price of energy increasing. This has risen sharply because demand for gas increased as the COVID pandemic eased, and because the war in Ukraine has threatened supplies from Russia. As part of a package of new measures to tackle soaring prices, the government has stepped in, and all households in England, Wales and Scotland will be given a £400 discount on their fuel bills later in the year. In addition, a £650 payment will be made to more than 8 million low-income households who receive universal credit, tax credits, pension credit, and other means-tested benefits. While this helps, this still isn't likely to fill the gap that inflation is causing. So I'm going to give you a load of quick-fire tips to help you reduce your energy bill. Some of these savings don't sound like a lot, but trust me, if you put them all together, it's really going to add up. So firstly, did you know that turning down your thermostat by 1 degree could save you £80 per year? Obviously, I'm not saying freeze yourself, but there is no need to have your house like the Bahamas. Take some advice from your nan and wear more layers. And make sure to turn off your heating when you're not in your house. You will always save money by turning the heating off when you don't need it, rather than trying to keep it at a constant temperature. When you turn the heating off, it will take extra energy to heat up again, but this will always be less than the energy wasted by running the heating when you don't need to. You may also want to check you have good insulation in your roof. Newer insulation in your roof could save up to £290 a year. Also get thicker curtains to keep the heat in, and try to limit any drafts you may have around the house. Use oil-filled radiators rather than ones that blow out hot air, as oil-filled radiators retain the heat even after you turn them off. Also consider some warmer blankets or a better duvet for when you go to bed, and invest in a hot water bottle. Try to stop doing your washing on anything higher than 30 degrees and use eco settings on your dishwasher and boilers. If you can, try to do fewer and fuller loads when washing. Now the next suggestion, while it may cost you a lot up front, new boiler models are impressively more efficient with energy and can make a real difference on your monthly bills, saving you up to £580 a year. Also, since 2022 of this year, there is a scheme in the UK to help you upgrade your boiler where you could be offered up to £5,000 to replace it. So another tip is to take showers more than baths. A typical bath requires about 90 litres of water, whereas a normal thermostatic mixer shower head discharges about 9 litres a minute. So providing you shower in less than 10 minutes, it's more economical to shower. Or even better, try to reduce your shower time or take a cold shower. The health benefits of cold showers is amazing. If you've not checked out Wim Hof, then I highly recommend you do. So another suggestion is to use your microwave when you can, or consider a slow cooker, as they're one of the most energy efficient kitchen appliances for cooking food. As all patriotic Brits, we love a good cup of tea, but stop overfilling your kettle. As a country, we waste around £68 million worth of energy a year just by overfilling kettles. And this article was from 2013, so I expect it's way more now. So just fill up the kettle to the level you need. Also, if you're trying to save money, you really need to stop opening your fridge, drooling over every item in it, or leaving the door open for ages. Try to keep the door closed, and also, moving your fridge away from sunlight can prevent it from working harder. Another way to save on energy bills is to turn off any electrical item you aren't using. You could save an average of £147 per year if certain appliances are turned off fully rather than leaving them on standby. British Gas compiled a list of devices and how much they cost to keep on standby. For instance, a TV left plugged in and on standby could cost you an additional £24.61 per year, and if you have a set-top box, a further £23.10. I'll leave a link to the full article in the description below for those interested, as I'm not going to go through them all here. Another way to save on energy costs is to stop leaving lights on in rooms you're not in. This could save you about £20 a year, and consider changing any traditional bulbs to LEDs. Traditional bulbs are extremely inefficient, whereas modern LEDs are the opposite and also last longer, so are less wasteful too. Switching them for LEDs can result in a 69% energy saving. As LED light bulbs are so energy efficient, it won't make much of a difference to your bills if you leave them on for 5 minutes when you pop out of a room, but it's always good to turn them off if you're leaving for longer. If you have a habit of leaving lights on, then you could always put timers on certain lights so you don't accidentally leave them on. I'm not saying do this in your kitchen or lounge, as that would be very annoying, but you may be able to place them somewhere that you don't often go for longer than a few minutes. Obviously, while we are in the summer months and using less on energy, it would be a great time to put aside any extra cash you are saving in anticipation of the winter months ahead. One other way to potentially prepare for the winter months is to look at all of your other utilities and work out, firstly, is this necessary? And secondly, are you getting the best deal possible? There are lots of comparison websites online to help you decide, like Money Supermarket and Compare the Market. Any money saved in these other areas could then be put towards the higher energy costs later in the year. If you are really struggling, you can even go to your energy provider and see if there is a different repayment scheme, so it's always worth asking. One of the other key areas causing inflation is fuel costs. The average cost of filling up a car is now £100, and while the wholesale price is finally starting to come down, it is still crazy expensive. Now, I appreciate everyone's circumstances differ in relation to driving, but if you do drive, then there are a few points that could help save you money. Firstly, could you consider planning your journeys better? If you drive, to, say, the supermarket every day of the week, could you reduce this down to once or twice? I know it's nice to have the convenience of deciding what you want for dinner on your way home, but it's also massively wasteful on fuel. Also, if you are lucky enough to have more than one car in a household, do you actually need it? Now, I appreciate if you and your partner may work in different locations, but could you possibly ask to work remotely or perhaps use public transport instead? When you consider the cost of the car and the things that come with it, like insurance and MOT and tax, and any servicing or repairs, it all adds up. Plus, if you didn't know, due to the global chip shortage and supply chain issues, second-hand cars have gone up in value. So you may even be able to sell your car for a profit right now. Now, obviously the best solution here is if you stop driving completely or reduce it to a minimum, but I know that's not always feasible. But perhaps could you instead rely on public transport or cycle or walk or run instead? Obviously, this is very dependent on where you live and your circumstances, because many people have to drop their kids to school, but the money you will save on the car and on parking really adds up. So another main cause of inflation is food, and there are loads of ways to save money here. Firstly, cooking in batches and freezing it is a great way. I personally love doing this because it saves on time when you're busy in the week, and then you've got loads of quality meals in the freezers. Plus, if you make a handful of different meals, you don't have to eat the same thing every day over the course of a week. It's also worth shopping around. Different items will be cheaper in different supermarkets. I've mentioned before that Amazon is often a lot cheaper than buying specific items in a supermarket, so perhaps have a look on there. But some items are more expensive, so just have a browse and see if you can find anything cheap. I also recommend giving a supermarket's value range a go. Many of these items you will struggle to taste the difference from the premium version, others less so, but you won't know till you try them. Also, try to not overbuy when you're in the supermarket. Only buy what you need and perhaps lay off the chocolate and desserts. As nice as they are, and as much as I love chocolate and desserts, they are really not a necessity. Another tip is to look in your fridge and cupboards, as often you can make a meal without buying any or many new ingredients. If I have something going out of date and won't have time to eat it, then put it in the freezer. Don't let it go out of date if it is something that is freezable. Another suggestion is to try to reduce on takeaways, as they are so expensive and at the end of the day, they are really not healthy for you anyway. One app I recommend checking out is Olio. Now, I don't know how much this is used in different areas around the world, but where I live, it's pretty good. So basically, with this app, supermarkets can donate their out-of-date food and you just need to go and pick it up. Now, when I say it's out of date, it's basically just gone out of date today and they can't sell it in the supermarket anymore. And so they just give the food away for free rather than throwing it in the bin. So it saves on food waste. Also in my area, even sometimes restaurants give away food if they prep too much. Now, obviously you need to practice food safety, but I often eat food a day or two out of date, so do this at your own discretion. But remember, there is a difference between a best before and use by dates. There is a great website called eatbydate.com where you can see how far you can generally push things and it will still be all right to eat. Now, as we face the highest inflation seen in decades, the ideal ways you're going to beat this would be by getting a pay rise to match. But this is not likely to happen for a lot of people. The Bank of England keeps incrementing its prediction for peak inflation, so perhaps prepare for a scenario worse than they currently suggest. Apparently, research by Loughborough Uni states that inflation is much closer to 13% than the stated 9%. So perhaps make sure you have a budget to cover a 13 to 15% increase. To have full control over your spending, you're really going to need to analyze where your money is going. So as dull as it sounds, getting a spreadsheet together is really going to help here. This way you can do the calcs and work out what everything will cost if you add on another 10 to 15% and where you may need to cut back. It's worth remembering, if you're not getting 9% interest on your bank account, then your money is devaluing. So perhaps shop around and see if there are any high interest savings accounts, or perhaps consider investing. Obviously, there is no guarantee on returns with the stock market, and currently year to date, the S&P 500, which is a good gauge of the stock market overall, is down just over 13%. So if you were doing that in the hope you'd be all right this year, it's probably not the best bet. But investing over the long term, you can generally get on average a 7 to 8% return on the S&P 500, but that's over a period of say like 10 to 20 years. So you need to do your own research and work out what is right for your current situation, as this is not financial advice. But investing doesn't have to just be in the stock market. You could invest in property or a new business or your own education. Also, if you have any debt, then you really want to pay this off as soon as possible, because as they raise interest rates to combat inflation, then your debt is likely to go up along with it. So in this case, investing is not a priority and getting out of debt would be the priority instead. Also, if your work isn't going to give you the pay rise you need, then perhaps it's time to look for a better paying job. While some people may think they can't do better, you'd be surprised. Workers switching jobs are getting pay rises of at least 15%. So why not start applying to some jobs, and don't be disheartened if you're turned down. The more you apply to, the better your chances are. Or if you don't want to apply for a new job, then you could always start a side hustle. Since the pandemic, 46% of UK adults had a side hustle. So if you've not seen my video on side hustles that anyone can do, then check that out up here, and I'll put the link in the description below also. There is always options, and remember, you are not at the mercy of your employer. But don't leave it at just getting by. Did you know that many people actually profit from inflation? So if you haven't checked out my video on how to potentially profit from inflation, then I recommend you check out this video up here, and I'll put the link to that in the description below also. So hopefully if you bring some of these suggestions together, you will be in a better position to fight the cost of living crisis and get through these challenging times. But even if you're personally doing well, then remember to check in with those around you, because not everyone will talk openly about their money problems. Anyway, let us know below what you are doing to cope with the cost of living crisis, and are you having to change anything in your life? And if so, what are you doing? And if you have any tips for others, please share them below, as I'd love to know, and I read all your comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video or got any value from it, then please smash the like button, because it helps others to find it and hopefully may help someone else out. And feel free to share it with others also. And if you want to learn more about personal finance, saving money, or investing, I have loads of videos on my channel, so I recommend you check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss out on any future updates. It's been Ollie from Get Geek Finance. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.